So today we're in Birmingham, Alabama at the Birmingham Civil Rights National Monument. A special thank you to the National Park Foundation for their collaboration on this project. So can you introduce this place and introduce us to our guests?
I'd be glad to. We are standing in St. Paul United Methodist Church, and I am so excited to introduce you to my friend and a true inspiration, Reverend Stryker.
Reverend Stryker, thank you so much for having us here today in your church where you are pastoring. So tell us a little bit about this place.
Well, welcome. I'm glad you all are here, and it's great to have Kat with us as well. St. Paul has been around since 1869. This is the first church or Christian faith community since in Birmingham, before Birmingham even started. And over time, we've moved from one spot to another, and now we are at 1500 6th Avenue North. We are upstairs, where we are now, but this was not always, the upper part was not always here. We had a bottom portion that was set in 1925, and freed African Americans or free slaves were the ones who were responsible for this entity coming into being.
You've been here twice.
That's correct.
So you came once for a couple years and then you've come back. What brought you back to this place?
Well, the bishop asked if we would love to come back, and we said, yes, we'd love to come back.
So that means you're preaching here on Sundays.
I am. This is a functioning worship space. Of course, now because of the pandemic, we have a number of members online. And so we're in person and online.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you said that this has been, it's changed over time. When was the last renovation here?
Well, this upper part came in 1951, or at least was celebrated in 1951. It probably built 1949. A pastor by the name of Harry Gibson, who was the father-in-law of Dr. Lowry, Joseph Lowry, was the one who was responsible or took the lead in putting that building, this upper part up. And Reverend Lowry, who many of you know, were very close friends with Dr. King, and through the Southern Christian Leadership Conference was a founding member. He was responsible for the inside, completing the inside of this facility. So we're very proud of that.
You mentioned that this place had a role in the civil rights movement. So can you tell us about that?
That's right. In fact, most people think about the modern civil rights movement as in the 1950s and 60s, but in the 1930s, there was a man by the name of Dr. McPherson. He was a medical doctor in the community, and he took care of kids. He had his own practice, but he also provided free shots and stuff like that to the children. Well, he was also very courageous, working for social justice through the NAACP. At the time, the NAACP had become kind of dormant, and he was responsible for one of those revamping it in the 1930s. Now, it was later banned again,
right.
but yes. So that's one part of it. The other part is during Palm Sunday, and in fact, we are commemorating the 60th for the activities of 1963. And on the Palm Sunday of 1963, the community gathered here in this space, and they had a mass rally, 500 to 1,000 persons. You know, we're not sure how many, but in that range. And then from the building, they went outside and they walked to City Hall because of blacks could only sit in the back of the bus, in the back of seating in theaters and all of that, and they were fighting against that. So Reverend A.D. King, Dr. King's brother, N.A. Smith, and Reverend Porter were three of the leaders, among others. Some were arrested on that day. All of that was from this space. Many of our listeners probably know Reverend Dr. Lowry. Dr. Lowry, as I mentioned earlier, was a very strong confidant for Dr. King, and in his own right, a civil rights leader. And his wife, Evelyn, was from this church as well. Yeah, his father was from here and was pastoring here, and she came out of this church. And together, they really work for change. And part of what we're doing, thanks to the National Park Foundation, is that we are in the process of discovering the history, 1869, that's a long time from then to now,
Right.
discovering and documenting, and National Park Foundation has been a part in helping us find researcher who can help us discover, document, and we call it display. That's our visitor center, which we are working on right now. And finally, deploying. I like to stick with the D's.
Yes.
So you can tell, deploying, but sending out in the sense of inspiring young people to go out and be change agents. Because history is great, but primarily we want young people to see and hear history for the purpose of being encouraged that in the midst of challenging times, things can really change. And that is the message that we do through what we do here at the church.
That's wonderful. We work also with the National Park Foundation, and one of the things we talk about in our work is the UN Sustainability Goals. And one of the goals is Goal 16, which is social justice, which is encouraging us to let our kids understand what happened in history and then how they need to continue the work. That these voices were loud and prominent at the time. What are their voices going to say? What are our kids' voices going to say to make sure that we're all doing things to treat each other as humans, be good humans? We know that middle schoolers, for example, can make a lot of difference. In fact, there is a stained glass window behind me. Can you tell me about that? Because I think that was done by a school-age child.
It was done by a school-age person here at the church at the time. And it represents so many different things within it that as people come here, we encourage them to look at it, to study it, to see how you can include both the regular things of life, secular things of life, basketball, with the sacramental or the spiritual things of life. And all of those things are part of what makes the world whole. You know, that sense of coming together, that sense of community, that sense of peace. And that's what that young person captured. He was about, I think, 11 or 12 years old at the time, and we're really proud about that.
Now, do you still have children that are coming here on Sundays for worship?
We do. Children come here on Sundays for worship. We also have, out of this space, a program called the Scroll Works music program. Now, we don't run it, but it's a partnership. Scrollworks music program that provide music practices and teaching for children from age 6 through 18. And my daughter's a part of that. She counts to that. But it's really been a blessing. It's for a few dollars, really, low cost, very low cost. Persons are able to sign up.
We see that you value collaboration, like in your partnership with the Birmingham Civil Rights Monument, and then your partnership with Scrollworks. So I guess that really signifies what your mission is that we need to work together to be change makers, to change the world. And what better audience than kids,
That's
right? Because it's their world. Then soon
world.
We won't be around, and it needs to be those people that change the world.
Yeah. In many ways, it's the stained glass window living it out.
I love that.
Yeah, living that out, including the fact that in the 60s, children were trained here for becoming foot soldiers, to go out on the streets in nonviolent fashion to change the world. Young people have always been a significant part of change. And so we try to encourage that,
Well, what a good challenge that we can give to our students who are watching around the country, that if they feel passionate about something, then to move forward with that and to embrace everyone and to work on civil discourse and understanding that we are all humans in this world, and how can we be kinder to each other.
I think so, and it begins in school, you know, at time of recess and play, to be able to stand up for children who are being bullied and stuff like that. When we were able to do that as a young person, do that in our place of play or school, we prepare ourselves for adulthood, to make a difference in the world.
So kids, there's your challenge. We want you to be the voice for the voiceless. So look around your school. Check out those times during recess when someone may be sitting on a bench by themselves. Take it upon yourself to be that change maker, that agent of change. Go sit down beside them, introduce yourself, ask them how things are going. And if you hear stories that need help, then enlist help to help those people. But remember, it's up to you to be the good humans in this world and to make a difference. Thank you so much,
Oh,
Reverend
you're
Stryker.
welcome.
This is
Welcome.
wonderful, and we're
Yeah.
glad that you came back a second time here so we could meet you.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a joy to be back, and generous on their part to have us back.
Well, we're glad. Now, we know you've got a sermon to prepare for, so we'll let you
That's
go.
right. Thank
All right,
you.
thanks.
Thank you.